Hi everyone, welcome to Cyber Witch, your online resource for spiritual development. My name is Orly and I've been studying and practicing esotericism and the occult for almost 20 years. I also work professionally as a psychic and I'm a student learning about yoga philosophy as well as learning to become a yoga teacher in traditional hatha yoga. So please hit like and subscribe for new videos every week to help you to become spiritually stronger. Today we are talking about past lives and my Tantric Occult exploration into discovering reincarnation, and this is also through ritual and Vedic studies. So I'm going to explain why reincarnation is important, how it helps us to evolve, and spiritual techniques that you can learn to help understand your past lives. I'm going to start off by talking about how I do believe in reincarnation, and it was proven to me from learning about my past lives and my previous life and the things that happened to me once I discovered this information absolutely changed me forever. And I catalyzed it through a combination of different things, through ritual with the dark goddess, as well as different yoga practices to help transform and open up my awareness and my mind. The evidence that I discovered from having past life memories come to me were things that were absolutely undeniable. I found out a lot of things from my memories were actual information that I could validate along with other people as well that were validating that information with me. And the whole thing was extremely strange, very mind-opening on a path of self-discovery for me, as well as through that, I got deeper and deeper into the things I was picking out from my memories. And the further I would get into things, I would discover even more that made more sense about myself and my life now and the things that I'm interested in too, as well as I found even a picture that looks exactly like me and the person's name sounds like my name. So there was a lot of things that were really mind-blowing to me when I discovered all of this stuff, and it put a lot of the work that I'm doing now into perspective on how I've evolved and things that I've learned and the importance of this life now and helping people understand how sacred all of this information really is. And what's also really important is it's not beneficial really to be sharing publicly your past life information with people. I'm not going to share mine for a lot of reasons, but what's really important about it in general to understand is that most people are not prepared mentally and spiritually to have access to their past life information. This is why this information is kept hidden from us and we don't remember. And also, it is key in our evolution to understand and decipher these things. So it kind of goes hand in hand with some people are going to be mentally enslaved at a lower level of spiritual awareness, and that's just where they're at. But other people are able to handle that kind of information. And the other thing that's important to understand as well is it can be really too much on people to try to force their understanding of things like their past life if they're not ready to have that awareness. Because once you start looking at things in non-linear time, it creates a level of hyper awareness in your spirituality that most people cannot handle. And that's why it's helpful to have yogic training along with this entire process. So I'm going to explain all of this in detail as we go. And it's also really important to think about your life now is very important. So focusing too much on the importance of lives from the past isn't really beneficial to you and your own evolution, because there's a reason why you've incarnated now, and that is important. So that's something that I really want you to take with you. And when we reincarnate, we don't always reincarnate in the same culture or location in the world, as well as your incarnation can be based on your past karmas. So that would essentially set you up to be born in a particular situation that would make your life harder or easier depending on what you had done before. And people also will often reincarnate in groups of awareness of knowing one another, but put in different situations. And so the reason behind all of this is extremely complicated, but one thing that I can share with you is Earth is very special because of this energetic process. And this is a major reason why it has been in a war of control from various alien races, because of incarnating here for evolution purposes and then also energetic control from the human life energy. So Earth is extremely special because of this process, and these aspects are explored in a lot of different cultures and traditions. In my studies of traditional yoga, some scriptures are extremely relevant, and I'm going to discuss those as well today. So in the Bhagavad Gita, past life and reincarnation is addressed, and it is mentioned in chapter 2, verse 22. Just as a person casts off worn-out clothes and puts on new ones, so too the embodied soul casts off its worn-out bodies and enters new ones. And so here in this quote, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna about the secrets of how the universe works and how the human mind works, and how our soul is something that is actually separate from us incarnated here. And that thing is perfect, but we have new bodies and new incarnations. And it goes on to elaborate this in verse 13 as well of chapter 2. As the embodied soul passes in this body from childhood to youth to old age, so too it passes into another body at death. The wise are not deluded by this. And this goes into the fact that this is a very often guarded knowledge that what happens to us isn't cut and dry once this material body is over, and that we will also return into another body in a new life. And because of this, we are able to learn things and also grow. But this is also the cosmic mind experiencing its creation through us. And so in a lot of different theories of looking at these ideas that come from Hinduism, there is the idea of the path of the sun and the path of the moon when a person's life is over. And this has to do with this incredible ability of focusing the mind at the moment a person passes will give them access to other dimensions as well as spiritual evolution. However, most people do not have the ability to do this, especially because in a lot of traditions, the yogic aspects of life are literally training ourselves and our minds to be able to do this and have this awareness. And then most people are just kind of swept away in emotion, in their desires, in their attachments at that moment. And so there's the concept of the path of the sun and the path of the moon. And so the path of the sun is when a person has aligned themselves with a spiritual practice, and then at the moment when their spirit is leaving their mortal body, they can focus on a deity and they will go to the dimension of that deity. Whereas the average person is going to be thinking about their emotions, fear, sadness, their attachments, all kinds of things when that moment happens, and they are essentially eaten by the moon and return once again to incarnate again here on Earth because something has kept them here. And then, of course, there's also the very special circumstances of what's known as the bodhisattvas, who are enlightened beings that choose to come back here to help people spiritually. So that is a huge concept on the importance of training the mind, not only in understanding our past lives, but also on how to navigate them in the future. Now it's time for our 20-second vibe check. President Trump met with the Prince of Saudi Arabia, along with Elon Musk and the CEO for OpenAI, to discuss the future of technology, in particular, robots and personal robots. Now we're going to talk about why remembering our past lives can help us to essentially pick up where we left off and help us evolve. So in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 8, it reads, "As the air carries fragrance from place to place, so does the embodied soul carry the mind and senses with it when it leaves an old body and enters a new one." So this means that our senses, our emotions, all these things that we're attracted to and we like will transfer from one life into the next. So that is a big key on helping you to understand more about who you are, which is a multidimensional being that is not just bound to one lifetime by these things, often skills and knowledge about things carrying over. And of course, this helps us to figure out who we are and remind us of all these things. But then on the other hand, this can become these same patterns that keep us entrapped in the same desires and lower level of thinking about things, where we can't evolve because we keep getting caught into the same patterns of what we did before. And this is such a benefit for understanding past lives. So in the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, it says, "The reservoir of karma rooted in the afflictions, the kleshas, is experienced in present or future births." So in relevance to reincarnation, this sutra explains that karma, driven by afflictions like ignorance and attachment, creates a storehouse of actions that bear fruit in our life and future lives. So here, all of these problems that we've had, these past patterns of behavior that were to our detriment, also carry over. And this is why, through the process of yoga, we learn to identify those things and then replace them with new patterns of behavior and mental faculties, as well as spiritual and healthy actions. And so the ways we can actually start learning about our past lives involve understanding the different limbs of yoga. So that has to do with meditation, it has to do with pranayama, the act of controlled breath, control of your thoughts, as well as studying scriptures on those matters, and also accessing deeper avenues of spirituality through going very deep into your meditation and your spiritual work. So over time, these things will just start to reveal themselves to you the more spiritual work you put into your own self and your own energy body. It's not something that can just be like given to you and told to you by people or by a spirit one time. You've got to really like work on developing this so you're not filling with delusions and what you want to hear, because that's the thing that often happens to people. They're told something they want to hear, and then they go down that rabbit hole, but they don't have any kind of actual validity for that information. You have to be able to essentially have things come to your mind that only that person from that life would have that information of, and then check to see if it's true, and then be able to do that over and over again. And over time, these things will come back to you, but it's also just not good to keep dwelling on those things, because who you are now is extremely important, and how that has changed you as well. So it completely changed me when I started discovering this information about myself. It definitely helped me learn more about who I am and understanding more about things that inspire me and my spiritual work. Absolutely. And one other aspect of it that's really vital to understand is it creates a ton of super intense emotion, which, as I just stated, can cause problems in controlling your mind. So you have to be very careful when you're dealing with past life connections, be it just memories of yourself or starting to have memories with other people, because getting deep into that can cause extremely overwhelming emotions that are also part of a programming that is designed to cause problems for you. So you have to not let those emotions control you, because there's so many things that people carry with them from the past, and this is why we don't usually have access to these kind of things, and why it is something that is so advanced. And so it can be something that really helps you to figure out more about who you are and to help you spiritually evolve from all the things that I just discussed today. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe for new videos every week. You can check out all my links below for all of my spiritual services, my tarot work, and my online video classes that teach you how to develop your psychic abilities as well. And thank you to our channel members and patrons. I'll see you next time. Bye.